Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Setting the Hook. We're out here in beautiful Port Dalhousie today. We got a bit of construction in the background here, but we got fish in the water. I'm out here with Richard Brouwer. Richard, we fished back in July out in the lake. Today we're in the river and it's a little bit colder.
Yeah, it sure is. The last time we were out there in July, we were in shirt sleeves and shorts.
Now we're in our winter gear.
We're in our winter gear and our winter flotation gear because the water's cold. The water temperature right now is about 38 degrees. And the trout are in, and they're feeding on minnows, and they're feeding on roe, and the fishing's been good.
Oh, it's a big fish. There he is.
Yeah.
Got him. Just when you think he's ready for the net, he turns around. That's just a greedy fish. That wasn't angler skill. That's probably my favorite part, when you feel that tap and you set the hook and you feel that solidness. But he's heavy. Tell he's been eating pretty good out there.
And we got ourselves a good salmon.
People travel all over the world for these fish. So let's do that again.
And let's face it, the Niagara River is a buffet for fish.
Let's get him back in the water.
Setting the Hook with Brent Bochek is brought to you by Fish Envy and Live to Fish.
Oh, we're just a few days away from Christmas. What, it's the 22nd of December today?
Yes, sir.
As I just said, we're in Port Dalhousie. We're fishing for rainbow trout and brown trout. And Richard, you got a fish or a snag?
I got the snag, which is totally normal in Port Dalhousie.
As you were saying earlier, there's a lot of rock down here. There's a lot of dead line as well and whatnot. So you want to be a little bit off bottom.
Yeah, so there's basically two main techniques that we use down here. One is bucktail jigs or streamer flies,
yeah,
or live bait like live minnows. And the other thing we use is trout roe.
Right, there's one of the jigs that we're using there, one that Richard hand ties himself.
Yeah, so the idea is, because the bottom is so snaggy here, is kind of get it to the bottom and then get yourself up 1.5 feet or 2 feet off the bottom. I've got pencil lead on a 3-way. You can see the 3-way system I've got here. And I got a little bit of yarn just for an attractant, and then I've got my pencil lead on a dropper rig.
So with that little bit of pink yarn you got on there, the water's a little dirtier today, so that yarn will help them see it, and it also has the scent of the roe there as well.
Correct, yeah.
It's kind of a double whammy.
A double whammy, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Ooh, that felt like a tap. So when you're drifting along with your bucktail jig, you're just kind of dropping it, lifting it up a bit, dropping it, just so it's kind of going.
6 inches though. You don't want to pull it out of their zone kind of thing. They're not gonna they're in this dirty water, they're not going to chase. This wind is continually pushing us
Yeah.
against the east shore, but the current is kind of on the west shore. So a bit of a challenge.
So what do we have between yesterday and today to dirty this water up?
Wind.
Where's it? How's it dirtying it in here?
Because
the wind.
It pushes it into Port Coburn, which pushes
Oh,
it into
okay.
the Welland Canal.
Okay, and then
Right?
it works
And
its
another
way.
thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration when they're figuring out the clarity of the water in Port Dalhousie is if the canal is open or not. If the canal is open, especially at this time of year, you have these Lakers that they're full bore trying to get as many loads as they can up and down the canal before it closes. And it normally closes right around January 1st.
Right.
Well, they're churning up that water in that canal.
And that affects the 12-mile
And
creek.
that affects 12 Mile Creek, which directly affects Port Dalhousie.
Gotcha. So there's a lot of interesting factors that it's not only the wind, what's happening down here on Lake Ontario, but what's happening on Lake Erie that affects what's
Absolutely.
what's going on down here.
The most
Kind of like the Niagara River as well.
The most important asset of the whole thing is the southwest winds on Lake Erie.
Yeah, which are predominant.
Yeah, that covers it up, or that Oh, there
Fish,
you go.
fish.
There you go. He whacked it.
You rocked it pretty good.
Okay, hang on. Now I got to get the net.
Ooh. It's nice to have the rod bent just before Christmas here.
Beautiful rainbow.
Whoop,
Oh, that drag is screaming.
changed his mind there a little bit.
That's okay. Oh, he changed his mind again. I got to get him head first, brother. There
That's
he is.
probably a great idea. There we
There
go.
he is.
A bucktail jig there.
Yep.
You got him?
Yeah, I got it.
All right.
Now you can see the lamprey scar on it.
Yeah, right there. A little bit of a
Yeah.
lamprey scar.
Yeah. That's a beautiful male rainbow trout.
And we're only, minutes from downtown St. Catharines here.
Yeah, we're literally right in.
A couple days before Christmas.
Yep.
Let's get her back in the water.
All right. This is one of the awesome things about the Niagara region, is the fact that we can fish 365 days a year in open water, right? Port Dalhousie obviously has got the flow from the hydro dam, and it never freezes up. If it's a really, really cold winter, the ramps will freeze up, but for the most part, that's only happened like twice in the last 10 years. So the trout and the bait mostly, and then the trout, they come in and they feed in here because the water's warmer than the lake and there's lots of food for them to eat. So the trout down here are feeding on two things. They're feeding on roe from other trout that have spawned, and they're feeding on minnows. Yesterday when we were here, we actually caught a brown trout that was regurgitating big gizzard shads, and alewives, both of them. It was really cool. So they do a lot of, the fish down here, they feed a lot on minnows. Very similar to the Niagara River.
It's interesting because obviously all summer long they're feeding on alewives and whatnot out on the lake. But you think you're coming into a river or a stream system and you're thinking guys are usually drifting roe bags.
Yeah, it's 22nd of December today. And like I said, here we are fishing in open water. As the season progresses, it's been our experience that the fish switch over to minnow style baits.
Is that because there's less roe hanging around for them or drifting through?
Absolutely, right? Because the Lakers come in first and spawn, but they're here in late October, beginning of November. Then the browns come in, but after the browns come in to spawn, then they're hungry. It's no different than a human after having a baby, or any animal, they want to eat after they've given birth. So these fish are putting on the feed bags, and they're hitting all kinds of minnow style baits, but they're also hitting roe because
it's easy.
It's easy. It's right in front of them.
Right. So they've put all that energy into spawning, and now it's time to feed back up and regain their energy.
Right. So one of the kind of the ironic part of this is that the run of the brown trout here, instead of being miles and miles and miles like they can do it in other streams and tributaries, they have the dam right there and they can't get past that dam. So there's a lot of trout right in this system. Now, it doesn't mean you can come here and walk across the backs of the brown and the rainbow trout. You have to, there's different techniques and stuff like that you have to use, or that you can use in order to catch them. Like, for example, this is kind of a new thing for us. Hand-tied bucktail jigs.
Yeah, looks just like a minnow.
Looks exactly like a minnow. I use a football head. I like that because when it sits on the bottom, the head will actually, it won't flip over on its side. But I drop it down to the bottom. Yeah. And the bottom here is very snaggy. As soon as I hit the bottom, I crank it up about 1.5 to 2 feet and then just gently jig it. And as we're drifting over the trout, and you'll just feel a hit. Yeah. It's not normally a violent hit. It's more of a pickup, almost like a smallmouth picking up like a Ned rig off the bottom, more than like really hammering it. It's more of a tick or a thunk. Yeah. Very similar to like a walleye. A walleye grab. Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point about the football head though, because that jig's on the bottom, or close to it. Or if you hit the bottom with it, if it rolls over and the fish picks it up, you're not getting that hook in the top of his mouth.
Exactly. That's been our experience when we've been fishing bucktails for the last 7 or 8 or 10 years. Is with the football head, because it's oblong, it sits up and the hook sits up.
Right.
If you have your regular
a round jig head, say?
Round jig head, or even the pointed jig heads that guys use in the current.
Yep.
They'll lay flat.
So
and a lot of the times,
when you say flat, you mean sideways?
Sideways, right?
So
they'll come like this and then they'll fall on
so the
their
hook,
side.
instead of being up like this, it's going to be on its side.
It's going to be on its side, yeah.
If fish tries to pick it up, you're not going to get them.
Right. I mean, your hookup ratio is way, way less. So, neat thing is, we buy these football heads, unpainted, but we get most of them from like a local store, 1.5 kilometers down the road, Peter's Tackle. They sell them in packs of 8. I take them home and I paint them myself and do kind of different things to them. Did you just hit my rod purposely?
No.
Yeah, you did. You shouldn't do that. Listen, my name's not Mark.
Especially when he's twice the size I am.
Well, we got into a school of, there was fish all over the... That was nicely done.
Fish, fish.
There you go, there you go.
Ooh, I was just fixing my hat there too. It was down over my eyes. Oh, it's a little bit bigger fish.
There you go, buddy.
A little heavier. I shouldn't say bigger, but we're going to find out hopefully shortly here. I just went and had that swim jig on for a bit, and I just went and put that hair jig back on, and first drifted the hair jig, and we're hooked up. Got a nice bend on that rod. That's a heavy fish, Richard.
Yeah, that's good, man.
Well, can you turn the boat that way? There we go.
There I am.
Thank you. I want to keep her away from that main motor back there. All right. Oh yeah, this fish.
Got some shoulders to it.
It's got some weight to it. It's she's sure bulldogging.
Yeah, that's
good. Be a big brown, maybe.
That's good. Get that out of your way. Take your time with it. There it is.
Oh.
There it is. Nice brown.
Yeah.
Oh. And gone.
And there she goes. At least we got to see it. So folks, when you're fishing into the winter months like we are today, it's late December. You want to make sure you dress safely and you dress warm. You notice today Richard and I are both wearing a flotation suits. Mine's more survival style. His is a nice fishing suit. They both have flotation in them.
If you fall into the water at this time of year and you have your traditional winter clothing on, yeah, you're going to float, but it's going to absorb the water and it's going to make it so much harder for you to get up out of the water or get up on top of the ice. That's where these suits like this are paramount. You fall in, you can get out or you can get help. It just gives you the extra seconds that you need to be rescued.
One of the things with a suit like the one I'm wearing is it's got straps here, it's got straps at the waist, it's got them on the arms. Water will still get into them, but it won't continue to flow through. And it's when that water's flowing through is what's going to cool you off and set you into something like hypothermia a lot quicker.
Yeah, we might not like it cold, but the fish do, right? That's what they want. They want this cold water. So we'll fish for them in the middle of the winter.
At least it's not snowing today.
Well, not yet. So this is what's coming up the channel right now. So if you take a look at his bucket, watch. And he claws his way up the channel.
That doesn't bother the fish.
You notice these beautiful condos that they're building?
In quotations.
In quotations. That used to be our Royal Canadian Legion, and the property got sold to a developer. Now, the developer, when he was going for his building permits, promised that the pathway and the walkway would be open to people that want to walk and people that want to fish.
So the general public could use it.
Right, the general public could use it. We're going to hold them to that promise. Because, as we know, things are not always done the way they said they're going to be done around here. I hope they're absolutely wonderful. I hope they're beautiful. I hope they bring life to Port Dalhousie. But I truly hope that those walkways stay open for the fishermen.
Well, you know, it's great we can be out here in the boat today, but there's a lot of guys that don't have boats that come and they fish from shore. Over by the boat ramp, there's guys fishing from shore. We were talking earlier, quite often there's people fishing along the shore here. Right now with the construction, obviously they're not, but it's taken away a place where people can come in and fish from shore.
They are rebuilding it. They're trying to make it safer. I get that. However, we have to make sure that access is open to the shore fishermen. That's
right.
The number one priority. Us guys in boats, we're lucky. We can get out and we can move around. Guys that don't have boats, this is one of the best trout fishing spots in southern Ontario at this time of year. It needs to remain open and access needs to remain open. That's important to me and it's important to the guys on shore.
You know, it's also important that guys that are coming down here and fishing, take home whatever you bring down here, take home with you. Don't leave garbage lying around and stuff like that. Otherwise, you will end up losing access.
Yeah, and that's happened in the past. We've gotten much, much better. However, there's still work to be done.
Yep.
But yeah, take it home. If you bring it down, take it home. There's nothing worse than coming down to a fishing spot and it's littered with dead line and old jigs and Tim Hortons cups.
So Richard, you grew up in this area.
Yep, right down the road.
Just down the road here, and you used to spend a nickel to ride the carousel over here.
Right, yeah, it's right over there. You can see just past the dump truck, the brown building.
Yep.
Yeah, still a nickel.
Still a nickel.
Still a nickel. And ironically, my father built it.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, back in 1982, I believe he built it. The next time you're down here in the summer launching your boat, have a look at who's fishing in the harbor. You'll see guys in little tinners.
Yep.
And all the guys are going out onto the lake salmon fishing. And these guys are in the harbor fishing bass and walleye. I just missed one.
I wouldn't care about coming down here bass fishing, but coming down walleye fishing would be kind of cool.
Oh, the bass fishing's fun in here too, man.
Yeah.
Like, you can take kids and go along the pier.
You don't need a big boat for that.
No, you don't need a boat at all.
What?
You can just cast off the pier. Okay, whenever you're ready, we got to go back up because this wind is just pushing us off course.
I'm ready.
And I spilt about 100,000 beads on the bottom of the boat.
They'll be in my vacuum if you want them back.
No, we'll be okay. fish.
Oh, look at that. There we're on.
And we're on. Little guy.
We got the rod in the way here.
Woo.
I'm coming.
Yeah. Here we go. Oh, come on, buddy. There he is.
He kept taking his head going the wrong way on me.
Shiwi.
Oh, that's a nice looking brown trout again.
What an incredible looking trout that is, guys. Have a look at that.
That's a beautiful looking fish.
Have a look at that. She's beautiful. This fish hasn't spawned yet. You can see how big her belly is.
Yeah.
So she's still tight, ready to go.
Get her back in there and then
go.
we'll talk about it.
Yeah. There you go. Beautiful. She's ready to go. And
So as we're drifting along in the river here today, what we're doing is we have a main line on here, which is braid, Berkeley X9. And then we have an 8-pound fluorocarbon Berkeley line on there as a leader. And then that just, especially in clear water situations, you want to make sure you go with that fluorocarbon there. Richard, these rods we're using today, they're a little bit longer than what I'd use if I was walleye fishing. Say in the quarters or whatever.
I'm using an 8.5 foot Fenwick HMG steelhead rod. I like it because it's long and absorbs the impact of the rainbows because they're pretty explosive. But a lot of guys are using exactly what you're using, 7'3", medium, extra fast tip rods. Just make sure that you have a drag that is super smooth. You want it silky smooth because these rainbow trout, like I said, they're so fast, they're so explosive that you need that drag to be at peak performance. And you're all set. You can come down here and you can fish any day of the week.
And it's important to have a good quality reel. One of the reasons is we are fishing in colder temperatures here, and when things get colder, things will start to break down. Make sure you have good quality reels in there.
Plus, I mean, I have fingerless gloves, you've got gloves on. You got to be able to, to have the sensitivity. That's the one thing that the braid really gives you, an opportunity to feel the bottom a lot better. But one of the downfalls of braid is when it gets below 0, then your braid can start freezing.
Right, it'll absorb a bit of water and...
Right, so then I go to straight fluorocarbon line.
I gotta tell you, Rich, it's pretty cool coming down here because I'm up in Smithville and it's maybe a 20, 25-minute drive. You're up on the escarpment as well. How long does it take you to get here?
It's 25 minutes,
yeah. And we're minutes from downtown St. Catharines?
Yeah, it's super convenient here. The St. Catharines Game and Fish Association years ago built an incredible quad ramp.
It's probably the nicest ramp in the whole region.
It's probably the nicest ramp in southern Ontario. They keep it very well maintained. The parking lot's excellent. It's close, it's easy access, it's safe.
Lots of parking?
Lots of parking. Love it here, man.
Yeah. Another thing, Richard, you were saying earlier, this is the Old Welland Canal.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where there's 2 locks right up there.
So that was like 1800, early 1900s or back in the 1800s?
You know what? My history teacher would be mad at me. I think it's late 1800s, early 1900s. There was 2 canals, 2 different versions of the Welland Canal that came through here. So, but I'm not 100% sure on the dates. So far today, we've caught fish on bucktails and we caught fish on roe.
Yep. And you had a bite on a minnow too.
I did, and I had a bite on a minnow. So what that tells me, and should tell other people, is the most important thing around here is let the fish tell you what they want to eat. Don't get pigeonholed into just using roe or just using minnows or just using bucktails. Yesterday, bucktails were on fire. Today, we've got fish on roe. Got a friend up there in another boat. I know that's all he fishes is roe, so he got his fish on roe. Sometimes it switches and changes, so adapt. Al Linder, best fisherman known to man, always says, let the fish tell you what they want.
Oh.
That is the bottom, sir, and you're not getting that back. You get it back?
Yeah. Oh. It's the first time I've been snagged or what? There's a little tip for you right there. I just got snagged on bottom. I was able to get the snag out, fortunately. I'm just gonna run my fingers up the line there, make sure there's no fry on it. I'm gonna check that hook point. Hook's still good. We're ready to go.
There's a fish. There's a fish.
There we go, Richard. What do you got on there? You got a minnow on there or a roe bag?
I got a roe bag on there, and I think I got myself a little brown.
A little brown trout?
That's what it feels like.
So you notice the difference between the fight of these sometimes between the rainbow and the browns?
Yeah, 100%.
What's the difference?
The rainbows fight a lot harder. The
Right.
browns fight, they're more solid, I guess you could call it.
Okay,
But
a
the
little more
rainbows
dogged.
are all over the place. Now you watch it, we'll get this up and it'll be a rainbow and I'll make a fool of myself, but I'm used to that.
Oh,
Nope,
that's a brown.
That's a brown, and that's a nice male
That's a
brown.
nice- look at the colors on him, eh?
Yeah, he's gorgeous.
You want me
Get
to
this
grab the
trolling
electric
motor
motor?
spun around.
We'll watch him on the motor there.
Yeah.
Want to swing him the other side or?
Oh, no, we'll be good here. I'll just get us out of the way of the wall here. That is a beautiful looking fish.
Certainly is.
Okay, hang on a second. Oh, all of a sudden.
Like you were saying, they like to dog a little bit more
Yeah,
than
they
the
do.
bows, eh?
Yeah.
So this driftwood actually came down a little farther, eh?
Yeah, that was right on the break. Here he is.
There we go.
Oh,
Look
what
at
a
him.
pretty, pretty
That's
fish.
a gorgeous looking fish there, Richard.
Look at this.
you
Look
grab
at
him there?
that fish,
I
guys.
got your rod.
Wow. That is spectacular. As you can see, that one came on a row bag. It's only a 3 or 4 pound fish, but they're absolutely beautiful at this time of year.
Look at his belly, eh? It's all dirty. He's been sitting right on bottom, or?
Yeah, so this is a male and he's in full colors. You can see that, they call that a kite on him.
Yeah, right there. You know, I've mentioned before how important it is to make sure you get the water out of the lower end of your boat after you pull out. It's really cold out right now. I'm going to lower the motor down, let the water drain out. Then I'm actually going to turn the ignition on, and I want to turn the motor over so that any water that's inside the engine is actually forced out as well. You know, folks, it's been a lot of fun here at Port Dalhousie today. Richard, I want to thank you for coming out. It's been a lot of fun. We got ourselves into a couple brown trout, we got rainbow trout, and it's all just within minutes of downtown St. Catharines.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate you coming out. It's always a lot of fun when we get on the water together. You know, folks, if you want to come down here and try and catch a trout at Port Dalhousie, there's lots of fish around. There's lots of shore accessibility as well as fishing in the boat. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Setting the Hook.